Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Divine Diva, where my guest for today is the wonderful LJ. Hi, LJ, welcome.
Hi, it's so nice to be back on your podcast, and I love being a divine diva. So,
Yeah, yeah.
congratulations on this new series.
Yeah, when I thought of the Divine Diva, I knew I had to have you as my guest. So
Oh, well, thank you so much. Grateful to be here.
thank you. And I would love for you to introduce yourself to my audience, like who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So, I'm known as LJ the Medium. I'm a psychic medium out here in Long Island, New York. Nominated Best of Long Island, but I'm beyond that. I do a lot of public speaking. I've written two books, an author as well. So I do a lot, life coaching, Reiki healing, and the
Mhm.
list goes on. But my favorite title, as I always say, is a warrior.
Absolutely. Spiritual warrior at heart, right?
Yes, everything, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. And I would love to know, like in your view, what qualities does a Divine Diva have?
I think a divine diva is somebody who is compassionate and empathic.
Mhm.
I definitely believe being divine. So I feel like not only you yourself feeling whole and feel like you're going through a healing process, but bringing love, light, and healing to others. So when
Mhm.
I think of a divine diva, I think that you're in your power, you know who you are, you're confident, you're a queen, so to speak,
Mhm.
and you're out there, making a difference. And I connect that with also advocacy. I'm a huge advocate. I'm a living kidney donor, so I do believe in, organ donation and spreading awareness. So I think it's a matter of being who you are,
Mhm.
comfortable and strong in your own body and your own mind, and sharing that with the
Mhm.
world.
Yeah, it's like creating that ripple effect just by being your authentic self and living and honoring the gifts that you're given, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would love to know a bit more, like, can you share some of like the highs and lows that has made you to be that divine diva that you are today?
Absolutely. Where do I begin? So, some of the highs and the lows. Well, my journey, especially to becoming a psychic medium, the first question I always get is, "Oh, were you always a psychic medium?" But I believe well, to answer that, yes, right? I believe we all have these abilities and gifts. It's a matter of tuning in. But
Mhm.
that brings me back to the lows. I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life. I know everybody who's listening right now has had some kind of trauma, physical, mental, emotional, whatever it may be. So I had a spine injury in 2013. And it kind of led to a bunch of other health challenges and multiple surgeries. So I believe my lowest, which was going through that trauma, being in physical pain, being wheelchair bound, bed bound, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. But I feel, in my opinion, hitting that low, right? When we say rock bottom, it
Right.
also launched me forward. It brought me to the highest that I couldn't even imagine. So when
Mhm.
you're going through a dark time or you're going through these lows, I do believe, because I've lived it and experienced it, and I'm sure there's people who are watching right now and it's like, when does it get better? Am I ever going to get better? And are things going to improve? And we have questions because when we're at our lowest, it's hard to see
Yeah,
forward. It's to see the future, even as a psychic medium. It's hard to
yeah,
see what's to come. Like, how do I get out of this?
yeah, because
And
when you're at the total back of the tunnel, you can see that light at the end, right?
right, but it's there.
It's
It's there,
there.
right?
Yeah.
So that's, what I feel going through the lows have helped me through the highs. If I didn't have my lows, I wouldn't have maybe saved a life, right? Through
Right.
donating a kidney. I may not have launched my own business or written a book. And the only reason why I have my book is because I have my story.
Right.
So that's what I believe. I think the lows and the highs is what makes us this divine diva, because you can't be who you are without the good and the bad. It's not all bad and it's not all good. So I
Mhm.
think part of it is also finding that balance. So when we're in the lows, it's very important. And I'm all about positive mindset, and I make vision boards and say affirmations daily. It's really important to stay above that. To
Mhm.
don't stay there, but
Yeah.
knowing that the highest comes. And I think you've heard my motto before, and I've said it, it's the best is yet to come. And I remind myself that every day, because
Mhm.
even when you've reached a point, and tell me if you feel the same way, when you've reached that point of healing or you're
Mhm.
progressing in life, and then all of a sudden I'm helping other people, whether it's through life coaching, Reiki, and you realize that you had to go through
Hmm.
certain things, but it doesn't mean that every day, just because I'm out there coaching or, nominated best of Long Island, doesn't mean that everything's perfect and everything's good. And
Hmm.
that's a reminder to people that every day it takes work in progress, and every
Yeah.
day is going to be different.
Hmm.
So it's kind of that pushing through and to keep going, because even when you've reached, as they say, oh, you've reached the top or you've reached the high, doesn't mean you stay there. Life
Yeah.
is always ups and downs.
Yeah, ebb and flow, ups and downs, and yeah, and it's brilliant that you can use your lowest low as a stepping stones to reach that higher level. But I think also those that are highly sensitive or have psychic abilities, we're almost, because I've interviewed so many people over the last few years, and those that have gone through their lowest lows and had that like dark night of the soul or had a traumatic event, those with those psychic abilities and that spiritual background, they rise higher than they ever thought they could because they've been to those lowest of lows. Because you learn so much from that, and you can use that as a stepping stone to reach even higher than you could ever thought possible.
Absolutely. I look at it as fuel, right? A lot of people,
Right.
when they see my story or watch my documentary, it's like, LJ, how did you do that? Or, Suzanne, how
Yeah.
did you get to now you're doing podcasts? And right. And people wonder how we got to that. And
Right.
I think it's being when we're in that low point, it's knowing like, I don't want to stay here. I want
Yeah.
more. There's that craving of what can I do? Even if it's a
Mhm.
small step forward, it's
Yeah.
we want more. And I think that's for intuitives or anyone that goes through any kind of awakening,
Hmm.
that we believe there is more. And I think the
Yeah.
more that we continue to believe there has to be better, there has
Yeah.
to be a higher, there has to be something more,
Hmm.
that's what we continue to work towards that and tune
Yeah.
into.
Absolutely. And also to know that there is some purpose behind your suffering.
Absolutely. I don't think we're here to suffer. I think we're here to learn and
Yeah.
take those painful experiences and turn them into your purpose and into your mission. Because the
Mhm.
way we help each other as light workers is that I've had pain, you've had pain, and I see that pain in you, you see that pain in me. And we want to help each other and we want to bring healing to each
Yeah.
other.
Absolutely. And also, not only do you see the pain in each other, you also see the light in each other, I think.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely. And it's
Mm,
like, I see you and I know, right? And that's why it's important, especially going back to the Divine Diva, right?
mm,
I know you and I, we support each other, and I love that. And that's really important about light, because when you see
yeah.
someone succeeding or
Mm,
someone doing well, creating something new,
yeah.
starting a new business, writing a new book, whatever that new venture for them is, I think, wow, how incredible of Suzanne to go out and start this new series, whatever it may be, because we know we've been through a lot
Yeah.
to get to where you are now. So I think it's really important that Divine Divas,
Hmm.
we encourage each other and support each other, because when people look at
Absolutely.
me, oh, look at LJ, look what she's doing. But I want that, wow, look at, she went through a lot and look
Right.
where she is now. So knowing that where we are, it's because we work so, so hard to be here mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So I think,
Absolutely.
right, it's cheering each other and supporting each other because we've been through a lot. And that's that light.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that light. She's got it. She's
Hmm.
launching forward, because we want to see people do well, be healthy and happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want that light that is within us to light that spark within someone who sees us.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think you're the prime example of making your mess your message. And I would love to know, when did that like click for you? Like, oh my gosh, yes, this is my purpose.
I love that. My message. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. When did it click for me? Honestly, I think I'll call it like a shift in my life. I believe in hope, right? And I use the acronym have only positive expectations, or HOPE, hold on, pain ends, right? And
Mm,
I think it's like when you have it could be a small shift in your life, but it opens a door and you're like, oh my God, something better is out there. And what I mean by that is
mm,
a moment that was my awakening when I was having my spine surgeries, and I had my second one. When I went in for my second spine surgery, mind you, I had been in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. I had no feeling in my leg from the knee down to my foot. And I remember barely remember, but waking up, in recovery, and I was in my room, and obviously they come in and they're like, "Can you try and move your toe for us?"
Mm.
And I couldn't do that before. Now, my husband has this on tape, but it's hard for me to put into words. But yeah, I was able to just wiggle a toe. I was
Right,
able to wiggle my toes. I was not able to do that, right? So
right,
all of a sudden, I wiggled my toes, and something just like it was like a switch inside me. Oh my God, if I can wiggle my toes, I might be able to walk again. If I'm
right,
able to walk again, I might be able to drive again. Mind you, everything had been, I had so lost so much. I was in
right.
so much pain. So it's like the sudden shift of just moving my toe that
Mm.
was like, I have a future. There's so much more. I mean, and that's in my story. And sometimes we take those little things for granted. And I
Right.
say that by you don't realize by being able to wake up in the morning, put your pants on, tie your shoes, which was something that was on my vision board many, many years ago. You don't realize it's just could be the slightest thing. And,
Mhm.
something slight in my life, maybe it's something completely different in your life. But it's like just that light that you talked about before, that light, that tiny bit of hope.
Right.
And if you have that hope and you're like, oh my, and I believed it. And that's the most important thing is believing in yourself. And I believed I'm going to walk again and I'm going to do this again. And it was years of hard work, but I did it.
Right.
So I feel like that's when my mess became my message, like this is possible. And once
Yeah.
you believe that something is possible, you
Mm.
will do whatever it takes to make it achievable.
Yeah. I have a similar story where I went through a traumatic event where I actually should have been dead, but I'm luckily I'm not. But because of that PTSD and the trauma, it led to a disorder where I would frequently just black out and have almost like an epileptic type seizure every month, and I didn't know where that came from. Now I know it was stress and trauma, and my body just giving out to all that stress. But at the time, I had no idea what was going on. So I would just randomly just fall to the floor and hurt myself and was more in the hospital than I was at home. So I was so struggling, like I couldn't connect those dots. But it was when later I found out, okay, I'm actually like blocking the information that my body is sending me, and I should listen to that. And it was like that switch that you mentioned that was like, oh my gosh, I finally realize where it is coming from. My body is constantly sending me this message, but I try to fix it with my brain without like thinking everything away. Like there's no anxiety. I will just push it away with my mind and ignore the messages that my body was giving me. But as you mentioned, it's that shift that suddenly gives you hope and realize like, okay, I can actually heal from that, and I can say I'm now actually healed from that from for now like a year and a half. So it is possible, even if you're dealing with it for 10 years and you don't know where it's coming from and that you don't know if you can ever heal. Because like 2 years ago, I still didn't know if I could heal from that. But that switch, that when you finally connect the dots together, that's that piece of hope that gets you moving. And yeah, that keeps you going as well.
Yeah, that's amazing that you shared that. And, and I'm sorry that anyone has to experience any trauma.
Mm,
But I feel like we talked about before, it helps us, move forward and find our purpose and bring healing. And it's important what you said that our bodies are talking to us. And I've gone through a lot of trauma, myself. And yeah, our body talks to us. And I think it's really important too that we talk to our bodies
yeah.
because we have to
And that we
communicate,
listen.
right? Our body will just shut, my body is shut down. I have POTS. So,
Yeah,
at any moment, I could go down or, I can't even stand and you don't realize, oh my God, I can't stand up today. I have issues with that.
yeah,
So it's very important that our body's talking to us
yeah,
and we talk to our body. So our body might be like, okay, you got to rest or you got to walk or you got to stand or something. And it's important for us to say, yeah, I'm going to do that for you today. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to drink water today. And you have to have a relationship
yeah.
with yourself and
Mm,
know your body because no one's going to know your body or your mind more than you. And our mind
yeah.
is just, I always say our mental health is just as important as our physical health.
Absolutely. And know that when your body does send signals, don't just like blatantly like "Ooh, wash it away," or just like listen to what your body has to say and honor that. And that was a long journey for me to actually listen to, because I was ignoring all the signals all the time. Because that's easy because we are so mind focused and focused in doing and achieving and not in resting and just being present with your body.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I know if I'm uncomfortable, and I think everybody, we want to push that away. Who wants to
right,
feel, uncomfortable, right?
right,
But sometimes that uncomfortable feeling, and we've probably heard this before, that's growth. When you're
yeah,
uncomfortable and you actually allow yourself to feel that, go
mm,
through this change and say, hey, what do I need to do here to
yeah,
feel better, even though it
yeah,
might not feel good?
right,
And that's where I think growth and transformation happens for sure. Because
absolutely.
you recognize that, you became aware of
Hmm.
that. I
Yeah,
become aware of my body.
yeah, exactly. Because it's that little zone where you're just outside of that comfort area, and you're like, okay, here it starts to feel uncomfortable, but that's where your growth happens. Exactly.
Right? It's
Yeah,
funny, but this is like a good example. If you've ever gone somewhere on vacation, whether it's somewhere close or far, when you're in another country or another state, you don't know where you are. You don't know what restaurants are good.
yeah,
You might not have access to a car. I mean, you go,
yeah,
and it might be uncomfortable because you don't know where you are, how to speak a language, right? So to speak, but
yeah,
you have the time of your life. How does that happen? You're
yeah,
uncomfortable, but you're having a blast because you're experiencing new things, but you don't
yeah.
realize it. But once you settle in and you become more comfortable
Hmm.
at it, right? So when we come out of our comfort zone, you're like, this could be something good. This could be a good
Yeah,
experience.
absolutely. And I would love to know, how do you connect to the divine?
So the divine in terms of spirit or just in the universe, because I know there's different
Hmm.
terms for it, but
Yeah,
um,
how do you connect to spirit?
yeah, so for me, it's really, and this goes for anybody who also wants to learn, it's taking that time out to unplug because I feel that we're always on, whether it's on technology, on social media, on at work,
Right,
on with family, right? Our brains are constantly going. So
right.
to connect to divine, the universe, spirit, God, higher self, however anyone wants to refer to it, it's
Hmm.
really taking that time to disconnect to reconnect.
Right.
So taking that time to unplug. So for me, that's, whether I'm indoors or outdoors, taking time to ground, whether it be a grounding mat inside the house I have or going outside on the grass, connecting with Mother Earth
Hmm.
and just taking in that silence and taking in that peace. Now, sometimes everybody could meditate differently. Sometimes grounding for me or connecting could just be going for a walk down the block and I look at the clouds and I look at the trees and you notice things, right? You become tuning in with your senses.
Right.
So to me, it could be look at that beautiful things that we didn't notice before we notice. And it's very
Yeah.
similar how I describe connecting with spirit. So if you ever go for a walk and you're like, oh, that house two doors down for me has a red door, like when you walk and you
Hmm.
look around, you're connecting, you're listening to the birds, you're feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, you're seeing things that you didn't notice before. And that's when you become more in tuned and more aware because we
Yeah.
have no distractions. When I
Right.
don't take my phone on a walk, and if I do,
Yeah.
it's in my pocket on off in case of an emergency.
Right.
So very similarly, whether that's me just tuning in every day and just becoming aware, um, and other ways, it could be just me sitting in silence by myself and just feeling my body, listening to my intuition. Sometimes I'll ask a question to the divine, like, what's in store for me, this week. Sometimes I get images or I hear words or feelings. There's no right or wrong. I think most importantly, it's just taking that time out to connect with yourself, to
Hmm.
connect with the earth and things and people that are around you. Because one thing to realize is that we're all connected. You and I are connected. We're connected through this here. We're connected with everything. So it's really important. And that's a lot of energy. When I say connected, there's so much energy. Just
Yeah.
the way there's energy coming through this laptop, there's energy when we're talking to people, there's energy that we're putting in when we're walking or making food, right? You can't make food without heating up boiling water. So we
Right.
don't realize that energy is everything is energy.
Hmm.
So connecting to the divine is tuning into that energy, and sometimes that could be literally and
Hmm.
sometimes it could just be with yourself and knowing
Hmm.
how much energy you have. And the perfect example is eventually, right? We get tired, we get drained, we need sleep, we need water. So a lot of times it's really taking that time to disconnect and just give yourself, your body time to
Hmm.
recharge. And I think the more that we're in silence, the more we're able to hear and receive signs and messages from the divine.
Hmm. And do you have a like a self-care or self-love ritual that is sacred to you?
I do. So affirmations are very sacred to me. Prayer, or speaking to the divine, speaking to the universe, asking for what it is that I need. And sometimes I always clarify this too. Sometimes what we think we need is really
Hmm.
what we want. And I just trust that the universe, God, spirit is going to provide what I need today.
Hmm.
So I also consider that. And for me, Epsom salt baths are my life savior. That's my self-care, my candle, my aromatherapy. I love to play just healing, music. If I'm having a really tough day, or just, constantly on the run, you ever feel like, we all get
Yeah.
flustered or we all get overwhelmed. My husband will look at me and go, you need to go take a bath. That's my sanctuary. That's my grounding place. And sometimes it could just be turn my phone off and just hug my dogs and love them.
Right.
So I don't feel that there's one or only one way or right or wrong way. I think it's just my self-care is what makes me feel happy and feel good. And most of the time that's going and getting a massage.
Mm.
So again, it's whatever feels good and what I need that week or that day, because every day might be different. Some days I need one cup of coffee, other days I need more. So it's just whatever it is that I need.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's not one way, because I think a lot of people listen like, oh my God, I don't meditate all these hours, or they'll say, and I want them to know it's not just about meditation. It's
yeah.
about what feels good to you.
Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned, everything is energy. So how do you protect your own energy?
Yeah, so for me, it's I intention. So if I'm gonna go out, I do a lot of, live audience readings or public speaking. I like to visualize a beautiful light around me. I like to visualize that I'm protected. So I just set that intention that, I'm gonna go out there to help me be the best that I can be, to be calm and confident. And you don't realize it's a lot of self-talk.
Hmm.
So I want to be calm and confident as I go out there today, help me shine. Send me a beautiful white light. May the people that are in my audience have an open mind and heart and be receptive to the messages that I'm sharing. So I share more of an intention. I set that intention to do so.
I always do that before an interview, just like the 5 minutes when I send the Zoom link, I say, okay, let this interview be inspirational and be good. Let us feel good and let the message that needs to be heard be heard.
I love it. And I felt that energy before you came on. So it's just a beautiful, yeah, it's connection and it's
Mm.
energies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my final question is always the same, and that is, when do you feel most divine?
Oh boy. So I feel like great questions. I feel like I could answer them in so many ways. I feel when I'm most divine in two different ways. When I'm out there and I'm making an impact, whether it's through sharing my story, connecting with spirit, providing messages to people, or helping somebody, like I said, with the life coaching, and someone makes healthy changes and fitness, and and I'm on their path. I feel I'm in the divine when I'm acting as a guide and
Hmm.
helping someone and actually seeing these changes, whether they're spiritually within somebody, physically because they lost weight or whatever health changes they're making. So I feel divine when I'm a guide and I see these changes, or someone tells me, LJ, you've inspired me, you've
Mm.
helped me. And I feel like that's my light. That's why I'm here. This is why I survived what I did, because I'm supposed to bring healing to people and bring hope. I feel like it always goes back to hope.
Right.
Um, because I feel like if I didn't have my story, why would you take advice from me? I've
Right.
lived it. So, people trust me. And I want people to know that if I could do it, you can too. So I do feel divine when I'm helping other people. And I also just feel divine when I'm with myself and I'm, writing or reading, listening to music, just being present and being in the moment and feeling capable and healthy and unstoppable.
Mhm.
So, it's within myself, but I feel that I need to do all these things to nurture myself so then I can help others. So I feel like divine to me, maybe it's balance. Maybe I
Yeah.
feel most divine when I'm helping others and when I'm alone or with my family. So most of all, I think it's just when I feel whole. You ever have days and you're like, that was a great day. Like,
Yeah.
some days
Yeah.
aren't always like that. There's always some, but sometimes you ever have like just a great day and you took care of yourself and you made a good meal and you helped somebody and you just kind of brought energy all around you.
Yeah.
but you felt great even though you delivered a lot of energy. Like
Yeah, you were
that's
in
a
that flow
divine
of
feeling.
lights and
Yes,
yeah,
that's a divine feeling to me when I'm
yeah,
able to like do so much, but also bring it back in for myself.
yeah, absolutely. When you can fill up that light so you can be that light.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Thank you so much again for today,
Oh, thank
LJ.
you.
I love
I
you.
love
So
talking to you. I love seeing all that you're doing. And I'm so grateful to be here. And I know that you're making a difference.
thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for sharing your words. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
always. Thank you.
Thank you.